Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Laws of Community. So, today is going to be a special day for y'all. We don't have any special guests for you today, but we do have a special segment. It's one that is dear to mine and Hannah's hearts, and she's having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. She'll be on here in just a few minutes, hopefully. Uh, but ultimately, today, um, today is a beautiful day. Okay, we've had definitely some some really tough months since about November. Um, but we've had a lot of things we've been working on to make sure that everything's okay. Um, and I say this, the reason why I'm saying this is because we've stepped into uh, a new part of our lives that we didn't necessarily expect to happen so soon. Um, but we are so grateful and so happy and excited for what's in store for us. Uh, just yesterday, or the other day, Monday. Thank you, my love. Uh, we found out the sex of our baby. That's right. You heard me right. We are going to have a baby, and our baby is due in August. And we've been spending all this time for the last few months telling, only a handful of really close people to us. But overall, we haven't really put it out there. And finally, now that we know the sex of our child, we are excited to tell the world. Um, our baby is going to be a boy. And therefore, the name that I have wanted to name a firstborn child of mine, a boy. Here you go. There he is. Um, has always been the name Courage Matthias. I know it's a little weird. It's it's not the norm, but the reason why I really chose the name Courage as the first name is because I ever since I was a kid, I have I have been in love with two characters um, that I have come across in pop culture, which is one, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I know it's a little funny to want to name your kid after a dog rather than naming like a dog after a person's name. It's a person after a dog's name. But the reason why I stick to that is because Courage, every time there's an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog on, you see him go through so many turmoils, uh, so many bad, disastrous things happen. But no matter what happens, he always is pushing through because he has a big heart for the one woman in his life that just, you know, means the most to him. It's basically his mom, you know, um, Mariel, and he does whatever he can for that love. He even has the saying, "The things I do for love." So, it really impacted me as a kid. I would watch that show and I would be mesmerized because every time that anything would come around, he'd always suck up whatever fear he had, and he would just go at it full force with all his courage in order to make sure that his family's okay. Um, and then other than courage, uh, the reason why I came up with the name Courage to name our son is because I've loved the character Link from the Legend of Zelda video game series. And I know that's a little corny as well, Courage the Cowardly Dog is a little corny. I get it. Um, but Link and the Legend of Zelda, for any of you who have not really been video game enthusiasts, or you haven't really played the games, or you've played a little bit, but you just kind of not really understood. I hope this might pique your interest a little bit more. But ultimately, uh, there are the three pieces of the Triforce. The Triforce is the ultimate energy source in uh, the existence, and it is created by the goddess Hylia, who incarnated herself into Zelda as a human, and or a Hylian, and she created a warrior protector, Link, to protect her incarnation. So she had an incarnation of him. And then there's the Demon King Demise, who had been causing destruction. And so each of them have been marked with a different Triforce piece. Zelda has been marked with the Triforce of Wisdom. Link has been marked with the Triforce of Courage. And Ganondorf has been marked with the Triforce of Power. And so one each piece alone is not powerful, but even though the one that really is, I mean, if you play the games, you can realize that there is one Triforce piece that is the most powerful, and that is the Triforce of Courage, because the main character Link, who is going through all the crazy chaos of the world to go and save this princess in the world, he's marked with that Triforce of Courage, and everything he goes through is a trial, and some sort of trial of the gods, in order to see if he has enough courage in his heart in order to surpass whatever thing is coming at him. Constantly helping everybody to get to the next level. He's putting everybody else's needs ahead of his own, and he's doing it just completely out of his heart. And in the entire game series, I mean, he's always a kid for the most part. I mean, he's sometimes an adult, but like 21. So, he's always a kid, and always going through all these things, just like Courage. He's this young dog, kind of like a kid, in a sense, kid mentality, going through all these things, but no matter what, not letting that darkness and the evil and the impressions of the world around him can, taint him and all that. So with that being said, I know that's kind of a long spew, um but ultimately, uh my reasoning is because I want to really breathe that into my child. I mean, a lot of people say names have meaning, words have meanings. I mean, people believe that you know any religion or anything you believe that's spiritual or religious, most times will tell you that anything that's written, anything that's spoke, it makes it more powerful. It makes it more real. And so when I speak the name Courage into my child, I'm hoping that I can really help mold that. And throughout also being you know, with that in my mind, I'm working on myself to make sure that I can be that role model for my child. So as he's growing, I can be the one to also show him, what a true courageous uh, parent could be, what a true courageous person could be, and a courageous heart could be, so that my child can own that. And no matter what, even if people try to pick on him for his name, courage, being courageous is not something to think is, silly or stupid. I mean, you can't really make fun of somebody for having that name, because y- unless you just absolutely don't like it yourself, I mean, that's one thing. But I don't think that there's anything that can really, you know, um, anything against that. That's just why I feel like I want to name him that. Secondly, his second name, Matthias. I'm gonna move on to that. I actually got it out of a book series called Redwall series. It used to be a show as well, a cartoon. but it's a fable written by a man named Brian Jacques, who has passed away. He was an author out in Liverpool, England, and he would take all the dialects from all the different countrysides and the cities, and all the different types of people, and he would put that into his stories. Each story he would write, he would take the dialects, and he would make each character have their own dialect for what they are, and all these things, right? And the whole story is surrounding this mouse named Martin the Warrior, who he creates this Redwall Abbey that protects all the other wildlife from all the um, varmin and vile creatures that are coming to try to take over and eat them or kill them. And Martin, he passes on his spirit through each book. His spirit is kind of passed on to another character to help them. And one of my favorite books, Madameo, um, it it revolves around Madameo, but also his father Matthias. And Matthias, he was an incarnation of Martin. He is, and he's got all that courage in his heart. Everything about him is courageous, and and selfless. And uh, I just thought that name was awesome. I thought it was Matthias for so many years, but I realized I found out that the pronunciation is Matthias, and I actually even biblically, which I'm not religious, but biblically, it is actually a really powerful name. Supposedly, there was a 13th disciple that replaced Judas Iscariot, and his name was Matthias. Um, and to me, that's beautiful. Um, but altogether, that's why I'm naming him that, and I'm really happy. I've been wanting this name for years for my child, and I'm just grateful that Hannah actually likes it and wants him to have that name too. Um, but it looks like Hannah might be able to be on here in just a moment. I see her popping on my end. But before she does, I just want to say, um, really, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for everything. Having Hannah in my life. Um, and this is something that this episode is really about. Um, this episode, self empowerment. I know it hasn't really been what I like sounding like what I've been talking about, but everything I just spoke, I mean, it's about courage ultimately. If you notice, even when I talked about Matthias, it's about courage, and really it takes courage to empower yourself. I mean, courage is the only thing. It's not bravery that gets anyone anywhere. It's courageousness that gets people places. And well, I was just gonna say, hi, my love. Here's Hannah. She is on now. But
Hello.
do you have anything you wanna say about the new discovery that our community has found out?
Um, no, I think you're doing a pretty good job. I'll just let you. My computer's trying to do something.
Okay.
Poor
Well, I
gal.
can
She's
hear you
she's
well, and I can
she's
see
pretty
you well.
old. It might be time for a new laptop in the future.
I'm sorry. Well,
It's okay.
yeah. I mean, that's good actually if you're wanting a new one at some point, because then you'll have a new one. But anyways, I can hear you and see you well. So if you want to say anything on today, um, what we were really going to talk about, guys, I wasn't going to just talk all about courage. Okay, I'm really excited. I'm really happy. I could tell everybody. Okay. Um, Secondly, we were going to actually talk about how Uh, I mean, parents. Okay, this is where the self empowerment comes, and how I'm kind of, I'm all excited and whatnot. Parents, it is on you guys to make sure that you empower yourself, self empower yourselves in order to have a good life for your child. Because if you don't empower yourself, you can't empower your child. If you don't empower yourself on all the good, healthy things and all the good, structural things you need in life in order to have a good life for your kid will not be able to do the same thing for themselves. It's just facts. And it honestly, you got to understand that as us coming into parenthood, like, we're not parents yet. We're coming into parenthood. We've been really locking down on a lot of things that we need to make sure are done. And you know what? There's a lot of resources. And we've been getting the use of these resources. So there's no excuses, even out here in the middle of podunk nowhere, like where we live. There's no excuses. There's always going to be resources. There's always going to be some place or somewhere with somebody who is willing to help a new parent, or someone who is going to be a new parent. There are so many places. Even if you're not Christian, there are plenty of Christian places you can go. You could tell them you don't want to talk about Christian stuff. They won't talk about it. We go to a Christian pregnancy resource center. We get all the resource help, all the everything. These people are respectful. These people, they respect what we, want for our children. They respect what we want for our own selves. But they make sure that we have all the resources, all the knowledge, you know, all the backstories from other people's experiences and everything tied in order for us to really get that grasp on parenthood and what it's going to mean to be a parent and have a child, a baby that's dependent on you. And with everything that's going on in the world right now, this is huge. This is a huge thing, because there are so many people out there that are not empowering themselves, and because of that, they're not empowering their children. They're not empowering others that could do something for the children to do something for the children. There are a lot of children out here in the world that are suffering because there are so many people being distracted and looking at everything else that's shiny that they might want, and they're not actually looking at what they need and what the people around them need and what the kids actually need. A lot of people just want to put a big screen TV and a nice car and all the video games in the world and all the trading cards and all of the stuffed animal, everything you want to give your kids, because you want them to just have a nice, big, nice, whatever. Flashy, distraction. That's all it really is. You're wasting your money. You're not actually getting the food for your kids. You're not getting a durable, reliable vehicle for your kids to actually be able to go back and forth to extracurriculars or whatever. You're spending too much money on their video games. They're becoming zombies on their computers, on a cell phone at 5. My kid's not going to have a cell phone until they can have a job and pay for it themselves. That's the reality of what we're into right now. I mean, this world is going somewhere that I am fearing for my child. And I'm having to make myself a little more courageous and go a step further to actually do the self-empowerment for myself, so then I can be a good role model. So then my kid doesn't just get sucked into somebody else's reality that ends up bringing them down into a dark hole somewhere in their life where they can't get themselves out of. There's a lot of you that just allow your kids to just go and have that. Now, is there anything you want to add now? I know I got a little passionate, but I see you brought yourself back up on stage.
I don't know. I guess if you stop to let me talk, I don't know. I don't really have anything to say though, honestly. Just doing shit. Um, oh, mom's watching. Hi, mom. I say that. Thanks for
Hi.
watching, mom.
Yeah, thank you for watching, and such an exciting episode. I'm glad you're here watching it, especially since it's about parenthood and all that. So, thank you.
Yes. And
Um,
thank you to my parents for coming for the gender reveal ultrasound
yes,
as well. It's nice to
yes,
see
thank you
them.
guys. Yeah, it was. Even though I got there right then, and got to see him for only a moment. We'll be back down there here soon.
Yeah.
Um,
But I don't know. What
so,
else did you want to say?
well, did you have anything you want? You said you felt like you wanted to add something earlier before the show. There was something you were saying you wanted to talk about. Something you mentioned. Can you not remember? I don't think I remember either. Okay. I see how you played. All right. So I can't hear you. But anyways, really guys, this journey um this journey has been definitely a roller coaster, but I'd say that it's been a nice one. um, through this pregnancy so far. I mean, it really was just rocky at the beginning, and for you guys out there that haven't become parents yet or are just at the beginning of the pregnancy, um, the fathers out there or the soon to be fathers, just hang in there, okay? Just hang in there. But it's not as bad if you actually do what is necessary for the mother, okay? For your significant other. Do what is necessary. Do even if you feel like you're broken down and dying and about to keel over, okay? Take a breath. See how bad it really is for you in a moment and just try to you know make some sort of effort towards being useful for her. I mean, I could be honest. At the beginning, I was going through a medical issue, and it kind of put a toll on us a little bit, and it was because we didn't even know that, for one, she was pregnant yet. So she was all hormonal, didn't even know, you know, I didn't know, she didn't know. We're both like, what's going on? Um, you just got to realize in those moments, if you don't know yet and you find out, but you guys were having a lot of trouble at that moment of not knowing it, and you're like a couple weeks in, you're like, oh man, those couple weeks, just realize, be a little understanding and say, hey, I get it. That happened. And no matter what, I gotta just let it go. I gotta just let it go, because there's it really, just that tension between us at the beginning, before we knew, like, it was so bad. I was going inward so much, and I wasn't really accepting it, even at the beginning of us finding out that she was pregnant. Like, I still kind of had that feeling of just like, oh, why, you know why did it have to be this way? And then soon after, I'm just like, why was I feeling like that still? She's pregnant. You know, there's there's so many things. Yes, children are watching parents 24/7. That is right, because they are little sponges.
Yep.
And if you guys don't think that your kids are conscious by like 2, you really don't remember your childhood. I mean, I remember my childhood from when I was like 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years. I could tell you memories throughout all of those years. And my mom, my cousins, they all tell you that those are accurate, real memories. When I was 2 years old, I have some really vivid memories. And I remember speaking, but like apparently I was not pronouncing things right. And of course I had whatever child impediment, speaking impediment. But from my perspective, I was very conscious, very aware of things that were going on around me. You know, like in my early childhood, I was around drug addicts and stuff like that. I understood what those drugs were. I understood what they did to the people. I understood they were bad. I understood they were not for kids. I understood, what sex was from the age of 3. I knew what I knew what it was like. I really knew what it was by the age of 5. Like, and I knew that it was not for kids. I knew that it was not for, and it wasn't because at that age I was forced into anything or whatever. It was just surroundings, people around me that didn't think that I was paying attention. Kids are always paying attention, even when they're just drooling and goo goo gawing, reading a book upside down. They're paying attention. Okay. It happens. You really got to be your what you do for yourself. Ultimately, what we've talked about through this show so much with self-empowerment, self-love, the what community really means. um it's been uh we've said it a lot that no one does anything alone in life. We all have to do something for ourselves in order to do for others. Yes, exactly. Live what you preach. You really got to do for yourself is what you want to do for others. You can't do for others what you want to do, or what you can't do for yourself. So if you can't do it for yourself, you can't do it for your child. If you can't take care of things for yourself and keep yourself well and do all these things that are necessary, you're always just dicking off and um playing video games or spending money on a bunch of unnecessary adult toys, like car stuff or boat stuff or yard stuff, whatever stuff, but it's just for fun, and not necessarily because you need it for your car. It's because you really just want it for your car. Like, why spend the $2,000 to soup your car up when you could spend the $2,000 on stuff for the house and your child, and get the education at home that your child is not necessarily getting at school when they are in school, if you're gonna not homeschool your child. Like, we're really pressing on homeschooling our child, but you know I feel like we are going to probably need a tutor here and there. There's going to be somebody we're going to need to hire to homeschool our kid as well. But uh we definitely want to make sure that we're teaching our kid all the necessary things about life that they're not supposed to be learning at school, what they're not learning at school. A lot of parents out there aren't doing that. And, oh man, this gnat or mosquito. Um, that's one thing that I admire about um our families, upbringings. Oh, and I'm sorry. Time's almost out. I'm sorry. That's why you popped up. I apologize. Um, but I'm gonna say this one last thing real quick, and then I'm done. Um, I'm really grateful for our upbringings with our parents. They may have been rocky here or there. Everybody's upbringings are gonna be rocky here or there. Um, you know, I'm sure that our kid's gonna think something's rocky here or there at one point or a time in their childhood. Hopefully not, but we're going to do our best to keep it from that, but it's whatever their perspective is. So you just gotta understand that while everything's rocky here and there, you just gotta keep yourself on that spirit that everything's gonna be good as long as you are able to make sure that everything is taken care of in the home. I mean, as long as you really um as long as you make sure that there's food, a roof, you know, clothes on your kid's back, you do all the things that are needed for them, and then you spend time with them. That is the only real thing that your kid needs is your time. They don't need your gifts. They don't need your money. That's what kids need. They need your time. That's what I'm going to end it with. I can't hear you. Your mic's not working. Here, you want to take one of my headphones? I'm sure it'll pick up your voice. Well, I guess Hannah's just saying bye everybody, I guess, because can't hear her. I know you guys can't hear her if I can't hear her. But thank you guys for showing up today, for all of you who have come to view this episode. I know it's a little different than usual, a little different than normal. But we really wanted to get it out there, the empowerment of parents and really being there for your kids, because there's a lot of nasty things going on with kids these days, like what's being pushed towards them. We need to really fix that. So yeah, thank you guys, and we will be seeing you next week. Next week I'm going to have Skylar Ray on. This is going to be an exciting episode, homeless to home free. And I love you guys. Hannah loves you guys. Courage loves you guys. And see you next time.